The Indian eFTR Jr. is tiny, it's slow, but it's for the kids, and I think it's Indian Motorcycle's single most important motorcycle for 2021 forward. But first, if you like motorcycle news and opinions, use the subscribe button below to not miss my next post. But backstory. With the partnership between Polaris and Zero Motorcycle late last year, it's becoming more clear how Polaris plans on carving out its future in the EV space. But this eFTR Jr., actually, it had nothing to do with Zero. The powertrain is actually from another company called Razor that's in this space. But the eFTR most importantly introduced not only a new generation of riders such as kids to motorcycles, but also introduced our current generation, like us, to the future of electric motorcycles as an easier to swallow pill. And it's not just about the kids. Let me explain. The eFTR Jr., yeah, it's an electric motorbike. It has a battery. It makes some kind of electric noise. Kids have fun. They associate the Indian brand with fun, etc., etc. They grow up, they buy an Indian, and they pass it down themselves. Cool, we get that. Obvious. But what's not so obvious is the impact it has on the current generation. You, yes, you watching, with Indian Motorcycle offering an electric motorcycle in its most basic form. Long story short, I think this is an easier way of introducing the electric space to the Indian motorcycle community versus offering a high-priced electric motorcycle initially. And if tomorrow Indian announced an electric version of the Scout, the Power Plus, or Thunderstroke, it leaves open the thought on whether the combustion variant will be phased out. More on that later actually. Let's look at the Livewire for a moment. Yes, it is a fantastic machine in every way, but what killed it for a lot of people was 1, the price, and 2, again the price, and it being electric. And it was an incredible bag of shock for the Harley-Davidson community, which in my opinion was a blessing and a curse for media news, because people talked about it, which is good, but people talked about it. And yes, the Livewire was meant to be a halo project for HD showing their capabilities with electric, and it wasn't supposed to be cheap. But in my opinion, a lot of the community that represents HD may not have been ready for it, even if Livewire has been known to the public since 2014. Now, coming back to Polaris and Indian. Under the Victory name, there was the Victory Impulse, which was a rebadged Brembo. Polaris purchased the electric portion of Brembo in 2015. And Polaris has done electric work with their off-road vehicles, so this isn't their first rodeo. But, I also think Polaris understands how to slowly push something new off onto the market. And I'm not saying they don't make mistakes, but just hear me out. But learning from Livewire, and again, this is my opinion, it makes more sense to go small, introduce this space, and build it out once it becomes familiar. Because just like new computers and technology, people hate change, especially a lot of change at one time. And eFTR Jr. is absolutely perfect for that. What better way to introduce your community to the future than by giving the market bits and pieces, rather than everything at one time. It's small and it's inexpensive. Now I know some of you will say, why should I buy my kid an eFTR Jr. when I could buy them a faster or better dirt bike or other brand? Well, you could. That just means the eFTR Jr. isn't for you. But the eFTR plays on the emotions of adults that love the brand more than kids who don't really know what Indian Motorcycle is. And we could also make the same argument on buying new motorcycles versus used. Why buy a new one when you can go get a used one for less money? Options are necessary, but the eFTR has overwhelmingly positive support from the community and kids love them. And this was seen firsthand by myself with kids riding the Iron E at the International Motorcycle Show. And once they grow up, Harley-Davidson will likely be the brand they remember when they can buy a motorcycle of their own. And at their legal age of riding, it will probably be electric. And with this recent partnership with Polaris and Zero, it only covers off-road vehicles and snowmobiles currently. But technically, the FTR is an off-road capable machine, but we'll just have to see how this Zero partnership evolves. But back to Indian offering electric versions of the Scout, the Thunderstroke, and the Power Plus models. We could possibly see this sooner rather than later. Reason being, the previous CEO of Polaris, Scott Wine, once said that he envisioned a world where we can choose whether we want an electric powertrain of an Indian motorcycle or a combustion engine. How that works money and product line wise, we don't know. And also, emission laws are getting stricter and stricter by the year, so anything is possible. In fact, according to an article from Forbes in 2019, electric cars in the EU were projected to triple by 2020. Car makers in the EU will offer right at 214 electric vehicles in 2021, up from the current 60 that are currently available. And as we all know, motorcycling in the EU and surrounding countries is more of a necessity than a luxury here in the United States. And it's also worth mentioning the Indian Chieftain Classic is no longer available on the Indian Motorcycle website. Also, the Power Plus 108 is Indian Motorcycle's liquid-cooled power plant selling alongside the traditional air-cooled Thunderstroke. For how much longer before Thunderstroke is phased out? We don't know, although a patent for variable valve timing on the Thunderstroke surfaced a while ago, which will hopefully meet the stricter emission laws moving forward. Until then, we at least have the new 2022 Indian Chief, which is fantastic. Either way, things are changing. But I'd like to know what you think about this, so sound off in the comments, and again, please hit that subscribe button if any of this made sense. And I'd appreciate it, but would you consider an electric version of an Indian motorcycle if both versions were available? And people will love it and people will hate it, but I personally like options in the market. And either way, eFTR Jr. has a lot of people in the Indian motorcycle community excited, because not only is it a fantastic gift and entry to motorcycling for the next generation of riders, but also it being Indian's first take at bringing an electric motorcycle to market. But the future's bright, people, and I'm here for it. So again, sound off in the comments what you think about that and hit that subscribe button below for more of my opinions on the motorcycle industry.